I didn't do that. Is this working? Good. Properties. Good. Let's make sure this is working. Hello then. Okay. Looks like my stream is working. Looking good. Man, did I make any notes on this episode? I start doing so many. I don't think I ever did. I'll just wing it. I got the pictures. Oh, I know what I didn't do. I'm gonna have to shoot. I'm gonna do this. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do that. I always forget this taskbar. Hide the taskbar. Oh, desktop mode. Hide the taskbar. Because I want to do a display capture of this one. Display capture 2. It's called touch. This is my little touch screen I got now. No. Okay. That might not work. I'll have to move myself over. There we go. Something like that. Oh well. This will be much easier. Yeah. Now we'll just hide that now. I want to open up. Where did I put it? Take that. So, I got a couple of things to do today. Whoa, I gotta bring my camera back. The first thing is, I had a few things I wanted to put on about chapter 1098, and a few things I noticed. I was rereading some of the Egghead arc. I have a few notes I made. Something that caught my attention. Everything's got. I almost got this set up the way I want. So, I should do this, I guess, record this as kind of a small video. I mainly want to cover the new episodes of the One Piece live action. But before I do that, let's get this going. Okay, we'll do a little recording here. Recording here for Hey guys, it's Turok. This might be a really short video. I'm gonna do this with a few things. A few things I just wanted to bring up quickly. I wasn't sure if I should do this like one of those short videos of YouTube, but I just caught on a few things that I noticed in chapter 1098. So spoilers if you haven't read that. The official one came out probably yesterday? Today's Monday. And I wanted to point out a couple of things that caught my attention now that we've learned a bit more about Kuma and Bonnie. Was that volume a little loud? No, maybe not, because it usually seems low. Kuma and Bonnie are very prevalent or relevant. Is that how you say it? In this whole this flashback is all about them, and let me switch that first. So we found out a bunch of things about Kuma and about his flashback with Ginny, who was a woman who loved him, and unfortunately, fate tore them apart in one of the most tragic things we've ever seen in this type of literature or storytelling, in that she got whisked away by the assholes. And everyone keeps talking about, like, find out who this celestial dragon is. I want to know who the kidnappers are. They piss me off more. I just can't fathom being the kind of assholes that would do that and knowingly whisk someone off like Ginny to this person. When this kind of stuff happens, I can always picture some kind of asshole like the Celestial Dragons. They exist. And it's just the people who will be the middleman for that. My God, how do they live with the fact that they can do that? So, where is that here? Right here. So first of all, the few things I wanted to get over today too is because we found out about Bonnie's age. I just realized when we watched chapter if we go back to 1072, right around the time that the I'm trying to remember exactly. I know that's right around the time when after Cypher Pole Zero has infiltrated, and I think that's when Stussy takes out Kaku and the others and reveals herself as being on their side. But at that point, Bonnie was chasing Vegapunk around. She's chasing him around the complex, and at one point she can't catch him because he's able to outrun her. So she oh, you know what I gotta do too? I gotta put my video out here. She outruns. So what he does is that he whoa, shit. Oh, it's not gonna go back anymore. Okay. She so I'll just do this. She what she does instead is transform into a form, or at the time, because we've been seeing her as an adult, she transformed into a younger version of what we were used to seeing her as, and then pretended she was hurt to get Vegapunk to come out of hiding, and then she could capture him. And so I'm speculating now that that may have been her actual age, the form we saw her in, or close enough, because she's 12 years old, as we learned in the last chapter. So the form we saw all along obviously was her, what she looks like, what she will age up naturally. And actually, that brings up an interesting point about her fruit too. It probably doesn't. Does the fruit have any effect on your mental when you use that power? Because I'm guessing no. She's probably still a child in her head. That's probably why she's acting this way. Well, it's hard to say. She's on a revenge path, but it's natural for anyone. I was trying to get at it, is like, does it really matter what age you are when you eat that fruit? But it probably would be more ideal if you are like a person who's in their 50s or 60s and older, and then at that point you're like, you learn all these things, and you're always, that's like, oh, I wish I knew the stuff I know now when I was younger. But now we got Bonnie in the opposite position. She's only 12, but now she can age herself up to be anything. She's making herself out to be what we presume is around 24 years old now. Or now, we still could just say it's 22, really, because we were presuming that the time skip, that was the assumed age that I've read anyways. I don't know if that's just other fans putting that out there. But that really doesn't matter then. It's just like we just say, okay, she's 22, because that main form is still 22, because there's been a time skip since we first saw her, but she's not aging. Well, wait, that's a question too then. Since the time skip, so 2 years ago, that means she was 10, her real age. So what I'm trying to get is, I wonder if she still ages normally in some way. So she's still, probably because she's young, she would still be learning and capable to learn new things easily. So like when people get older, it's really hard to learn things. The body isn't the same. I think it's like when you're in your late 20s or so, there's a certain point where your cells don't regenerate anymore. So it's very hard to learn new things the way you can when you're younger. So it's those kind of things that I'm trying to get across, that I wonder if that matters if you have a power like Bonnie does, but you start off as a young person as she has. We don't know when she got her fruit exactly, but we know she's had it since she's at least 10 now. Somewhere between when she's 5 and 10, she's had it. So just and just it'd be interesting to learn how the fruit can affect someone like her to still be able to, well, she'd be able to basically what I'm getting at was she mentally grow up, because if she's a 12-year-old now, no, yeah, right, she's a 12-year-old now. That obviously means there's lots of things that she shouldn't know about, that as adults we wouldn't tell her about, the birds and the bees and other things. But she's been out in the world and she seems to know quite a bit because she had a rough upbringing. So I don't know if she knows about the birds and the bees, but she knows about a lot of other stuff. So, on the flip side too, what that mean is, does she if she was say an old person like Dr. Kareha had the fruit, and she could age herself down. So to use this as like the real world ideas and not One Piece, because Kareha seems to be in perfect mental health. Um, meaning like I'm thinking even at her age, you could what's that phrase? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. She probably still can. If someone like her had Bonnie's fruit and was aged herself down because she couldn't learn anything new because her brain has reached its limits. If she aged herself down to be back in her teens, we know the body's still growing and such, could someone with the Bonnie's fruit, I forget the name of it now. I know we got the name. Could that fruit allow someone who started out in their old age to still be able to learn? Would the brain have the capacity to add even more, stack even more knowledge into the brain? What's the limit of the brain? This would be like something for people who study that kind of stuff. Neurologists, maybe someone who understands the brain. If a brain could retain a 70-year-old, I'm going to use like a 70-year-old as an example. Someone who's 70 could be aged down to be like 16. I'm trying to think when the human body really stops growing, and like 21, something after that maybe. I'm gonna say like 16. If you can age your 70-year-old back to 16 or even younger, while maintaining the knowledge they learned throughout their 70 years originally, can they stack more knowledge? I wonder if Bonnie can, like, if that would be possible. So anyways, I'm gonna pull up that chapter a second too. Come on. I think it was this one. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, it was just the second page after the chapter cover of 1072, the one called The Weight of Memory. And she's a little girl. Uh, yeah, that she shows up. She's laying on the ground here, and she is pretending she hurt herself, broke a bone, and so Vegapunk falls for this and runs out to help her, and then she uses that to changes her form again to be able to get him. She's able to get close enough to him. So that was my first thing. I was like, okay, but now we might have that. That might be her actual form now. Not we know she's not because what was the idea? Like Tekken 101 had the idea. I don't know if other people had this one where like maybe the old form we saw her at Marijois when she snuck in to find Kuma at Reverie was her real form. That maybe she was his mother, but now we know the truth of that. So like yeah, this is probably her real form, and now we obviously get to see her changing into the adult form as in the ideal phase she wants to use. So that's the first thing I wanted to make note of in this little that, and then uh, the second thing related to that is a lot of people are pointing out that they think Saturn is likely the uh father of Bonnie, And I want to point out that as we're reading Egghead 2, I am leaning in a way of it that we may never find out, and it may not be Saturn, because in the other chapter, 1089, Doberman, Vice Admiral Doberman, is reporting to Saturn as they've laid siege around Egghead about the situation in there that they found out, and he's the one that he brings up to Saturn that Bonnie is still there, and Saturn showed like a lack of like, oh, my daughter's there. Anything close to that he doesn't show. I'll find that one here too now. So that leads me to think there's a possibility so he knows about her, and there's all this other stuff we're gonna probably find out in the next chapter or two that's coming up that may be how because Saturn for sure must have overseen what's happened to Vegapunk at the hands of to Kuma at the hands of Vegapunk as far as becoming a cyborg, but he knows about Bonnie, but I doubt the father part right now, just because of this lack of. I'll read it verbatim here. Here we go. It even says here, he just goes. Doberman goes, one more thing, Saint Saturn. The pirate jewelry Bonnie, the glutton, has been sighted on the island. And Saturn's response is, Kuma's daughter. She has no more benefit to us. Just leave her there. She's just a girl. And Doberman's like, understood. And that's it. That's the whole exchange. And it even shows his face. Saturn, he doesn't show any surprise. And he doesn't say anything about anything else daughter. He says Kuma's daughter. So, but he must know, he likely knows, well, maybe he wouldn't know. That's the other theory, then maybe he doesn't know who she is. But people, what was it, Tekken was saying something about how she, when Akainu captured her 2 years ago, Blackbeard did the actual capturing, and she, he said something about, oh, you ran away. It was like they knew she was a celestial dragon. There's just something about this way that with Saturn's exchange that makes me doubtful of that, because he just calls her Kuma's daughter. But well, maybe that's because if it was his daughter, I don't know. See, there's things about like sometimes like because Ginny essentially became a concubine, and I think there are instances in real life when concubines have children for like some kind of king or emperor. They may that child could become raised and become official nobility. I don't feel like that would work in the Celestial Dragon system. I'm speculating that the Celestial Dragons merely, in this case, would take someone like Ginny as their bride because they want to have that. It's a toy to them. It's the same thing they did with anyone else. Same thing we saw them do with the Boa sisters. So yeah, this lack of reaction is kind of makes me hesitant to any more to at this time believe that theory that Saturn is the father. I much rather like somewhere in a comment section. I like the idea of how someone was saying. I think it was a comment section, like that. It doesn't matter who Bonnie's actual father ever is. It's just a new nail in the coffin for us as the readers to hate the Celestial Dragons, to realize how nasty they are. We just need to know that these are terrible people who would do this stuff, and to add the fuel to the fire of what Bonnie is about and what she's after. I think her revenge here is more about her getting her father back because of he probably sacrificed himself to save her. I think it's all that and not. I don't think she gives a damn anymore about who her real father is. She just wants to get back her father the way he was so that they can live together again. So that's my 2 cents on that. And the last thing I wanted to point out too that's cool on this is that now that we know Kuma's I don't know why I didn't think of it. Actually, someone may have brought this up a long time ago. Now that we know that Kuma was revolutionary, like I guess I should have thought about this too when we saw Kuma with Ivankov and Dragon at the Goa Kingdom when they burned down Grey Terminal. Kuma's bounty would be the first bounty we have of a revolutionary. Not because all the bounties we usually get are just that considered the people who are pirates. We got Rogers and Whitebeards and others finally, but we don't have anything on Dragon or Ivankov or Sabo. But we had Kuma, who we saw his bounty. His bounty is 296 million, if I recall correctly. It was shown during the Skypiea arc, and it is with him and Doflamingo and Mihawk and everyone came to the meeting to choose a new warlord to replace Crocodile's position, and so we see his bounty there, and now I just realized, like, holy shit! Because when we I thought about this because when we had Kuma Jinny's backstory in 1096, I think it was. Let me check here. He's talking about he was trying to change the subject about some. What were they talking? Was that when they were talking about marriage? I think that was when he was 21 and she's 26, right before they joined the revolutionaries. He's trying to change the subject, and he brings up how those bounties about the freedom fighters at that time in the paper, specifically about Dragon. Kuma was bringing up because of how he admired Dragon. Let me pull that up here. Bear with me a second here. No, not that one. Oh, it was 1097. Okay. Was it? There we go. Okay. No, this one doesn't say anything about the posters. Was that one of the other translations I read? It just talks about how they're wanted now by the authorities. I'm sure they mentioned some bounties in the other version. Yeah, so either way, I'm speculating that bounty is more related to him being possibly to him being the revolutionary commander. Still, I wonder what. I'm hoping that dragons, because Dragon, one of the translations calls Dragon one of the most wanted man now. I'm kind of hoping that his bounty is, like, I would say, at least the highest active bounty. So like right now, Kaido's technically is or was, but like I don't know if they're gonna still keep his up. But and Rogers is the highest bounty we've ever known at 5.5 billion. But it would be really cool if Dragon had like something close to 6 billion, given that it must be over a dozen or maybe like 2 dozen countries now almost. We know, like, can I mention several countries here? And there's like 8 more countries they just did recently. So they got to be like, what's that? Like 15 to 16 countries that they've helped over the course of the last 22 years. So it's really amazing that it's also amazing the way that Kuma's bounty wouldn't be higher than that. I wonder if that bounty is related to him. Wasn't there something about him being a pirate and he became known as a pirate after he was he gets labeled a tyrant after he becomes king of the Sorbet Kingdom, and he's exiled and he's forced to become a pirate. Maybe that's where this bounty supposedly lines up, where he's forced out to sea and he doesn't join go back to the revolutionaries. There was something about that mentioned somewhere. I think Jinbei mentioned it back earlier in this arc. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, if that's not, then it's really cool that we finally get a bounty that's part of the revolutionaries, because we got introduced to so many of them in the last 200 chapters. No, yeah, 300 chapters since the start of Reverie, but we didn't get any bounties on them yet. Kuma would just give us, Oda would just give us name cards on them, but nothing else. So we have all those other new captains and their right-hand men and women, and nothing else. So that's cool if Kuma's bounty is related to that, but also disappointed that it's not much higher because he did so much stuff in those 2 years that Ginny was uh, uh, kidnapped. That I'm sure his bounty was going up then. If they must give him bounties, right? Did they ever mention that? So, anyways, that was my little tangent on the 1098 stuff that I thought of. I'm gonna stop recording this then, and I need to step away a second and check something. I'll be right back. On. There we go. Alright. Now I'm going to jump over and review the live action episodes. I rewatched them last night. They're probably my favorite ones too. Come on, this open. I want this open. And the touchscreen doesn't like. I know what I gotta do. Like that. Rotate these? No. Hold on. I have to rotate the screen, otherwise I can't view them the way, and you won't be able to view them the way I want. Yep. Identify. There we go. So, phone's ready. Okay. Oh, that's right. And yeah. So let's get started on the review for the One Piece live action episodes 3 and 4 of season 1. So this one goes into Syrup Village, and it's the arc with Usopp and Captain Kuro. So, what is this? Oh, what is doing there? Come on. So this one begins with showing right away Usopp. Hold on. Why is that like that? Oh, showing Usopp as a child doing the boy cried wolf shtick. He is the child actor again, who does a pretty good job here. Among these child actors, I noticed a lot of people comment on them, so I'll just throw in a little my piece to the Luffy kid is probably the weakest one, and Nami and Sanji's are the best ones. And I guess Zoro's you can count in there too, but Zoro's actor, when they show his flashback, he's a lot younger than no, I'm sorry, the actor playing is a lot older. He's not they're not showing him as young as the others. They do. I'm trying to think how many years back that was. But he did fine too. He's playing Zoro like cause Zoro's stuff is how he's just very stoic, so he doesn't need the same level of Is my face too close to the camera? I just feel like sometimes I'm too close. I'll just leave it. He doesn't need that same level of emotion. Like Nami and Sanji especially had to show a lot of emotion in their backstories, and they did great. This kid has some sad. Usopp has a sad backstory too, and I think it was done well enough. One thing something I wanted to bring up here that's funny though with this is they have these big bells in this village, and they're probably there for danger, warn when there's danger there. Something that kind of bothered me is how he's always ringing these bells. I don't think they show him doing it as an adult. But my thought was like, why are you letting him have access to these bells? I was thinking as I rewatched it, like, just lock them up somehow so that only someone else can go there. Who other people give out keys somehow to other people so the kid stops doing it. He's just running around screaming, giving out these the bells, or ringing the bells. Sorry. And then so he switched to him as an adult, And we said the same man who we see as a few times when he's when Usopp was younger, uh, yelling at him now. He's finally had enough. Hold on, you know what? I gotta. That's right. I'm supposed to be putting the thing up. Just a moment. Hold on. How do I do this? Wait. I should try to. I should try to extend this back. This is not working. What is this going? Wait. Do I have a cord? I have an extension cord here. The USB kind. Wait a minute. Where'd that go? Try something here. Let's get in here. Oh, now I gotta do that. Hold on. How's that? There. I had to put a cord on. I put a longer cord on it so I can back this up. I should have had that. I don't know why I thought I had one in here. Now let's get this touch screen up here. There it is. All right, wait a minute. Well, that's gonna be a pain. I'll put it over here then. There we go. Let's do it that way. Okay. So yeah, let's get the recording on. So yeah, now I got the picture up. Okay. Yeah. So Usopp, obviously in this version, they do not, even though they went all in with Buggy's nose being clown nose and such, they did not do the same thing. They decided not to do the same thing with Usopp and his long nose. The kind of Pinocchio theme too, because he is a perpetual liar, as well as a boy who cried wolf. By the way, too, I'm trying to link about like how many other are there other stories other than his and Robin's that use any kind of fairy tale or other folklore themes from like European stuff? Uh, because like Robin's, it's kind of like this a Cinderella thing where she's being left with a family who does not treat her right, and we got him who's being Pinocchio slash boy who cried wolf. Uh, I can't think of any of the others. Let's see. We don't have anything like Aladdin. We went to Alabasta, but I don't think we had anything with magic lamps or anything, and we don't have Sleeping Beauty. I don't think. Anyways, here. So next we get this really cool piece here with the which I'm using as my I'll be using as my cover for the video. As I think it's on the stream should have it too still. By the way, I should make sure that's still working. Is it going here? It says it is. I have that as my stream picture for on the YouTube stream. With Usopp with his it has the slingshot For some reason, it has him wearing like a. It looks almost like an army helmet, an old school one with the protect his head from like getting shot in the head. And where the eye is, it shows a hammer, a mallet, which he does not use yet. Here he maybe in the Alabasta saga because he'll be fighting Mister Four, and him and Chopper. And who's he fighting? Who's that? His partner, Miss Miss oh, I can't think of her name. But anyways, he uses a hammer thing to take out. Yeah, just something. Take out those one of them later on. So we start here now with now we jump to our other three heroes on the little schooner that Nami stole from the Buggy Pirates, and she's studying the Grand Line map, which is great to have that. And I see that piece. I bet Tekking would kill to have that piece. I say it. Have that map, a physical copy of the map. They should. I would pay good money if they made replicas of that and started selling it on like a merchandise website. What do you think they'd sell it for? Like $50? Oh, that'd probably be worth it. Something like that. Like make it like a very nice. I don't know what kind of material they'd make it out of. Let's see what she has. It looks like I don't know what kind of. It's not like paper. It's like very. I don't think it's supposed to be leather or anything either. Also, it's funny to know. I don't remember if she does this in the. Does she? Wait, no. I was watching Skypiea the other day. Did she have glasses? I think she did. I always forget if she wears. I think she does wear glasses in the anime or manga, but I always forget. I only recall that I think in the Skypiea arc when they're studying the Jaya map, and she's briefing the crew about where the city of gold might be, and she was wearing glasses, but they have her wearing them here. Yeah, I'm 99% sure that in this arc in the manga and anime she doesn't wear them, but they added it early. So she's here reading the map, and this is where Luffy he brings out his Jolly Roger, and he draws it. He draws it horribly. Actually, did they have that? I had the. Did they show that at this point? I was reading the manga when this first came out. Let me go grab that. Hold on a sec. I'll have to. I have some of this still here. Yeah. I got the first 3 volumes here. I can't even get. I gotta keep my way. And I was trying to find if they show where it shows his Jolly Roger in that, but I don't have that chapter handy. But yeah, he draws it horribly, and they rectify this later by I think having Usopp draw it. Because Usopp that does seem that's the thing too. I noticed with Usopp. Overall, Usopp is like a really good kind of jack of all trades kind of guy in some ways. He when they get the going merry, he's taking care of it. He knows how to do artistry. He knows how to craft other things that he makes things that Nami uses as weapons later on to defeat Khalifa and the Mr. One's partner. The staff. So Usopp, for all his some of the faults he has and some of the stuff I'm annoyed by with him sometimes, at least in the other versions, he has a lot of skills, a lot of hands-on skills that can't be downplayed as not useful, and they do show some of that as well in this series. So Luffy's showing it off to her, and she's completely unimpressed, and it can't be forgotten who is she, and she is still. Excuse me, I'm slurring my words again. She's still not considering herself part of the crew, but he automatically is because he wants her on as a navigator. And so he's trying to say, well, we're going to call ourselves now the Straw Hat Pirates. So here's our Jolly Roger. Can I hang it up on your ship? And she's like, no, right away. No, you're just not going to do it. And he shows it off here to Zoro, who are just like, yeah, that's something. Wait, do I have that? Oh, that's a head. I didn't get the little shot. I didn't catch the shot there. He just kind of right after this. He just kind of stares at Luffy and like, yeah. I got some other notes here, but that's for later. So next here, Zoro tells Nami that hey, there's the toilet isn't working here, and this really confused me at first. And I think I saw another reaction video point this out too. Like, wait a minute, did he try to go in this spot? So there's a little cupboard thing at the on the floor, and Nami's hiding her communication gear and some of her other personal belongings there. And the communication gear is for her to directly talk to someone on the Arlong crew, and it starts taking on the ship here is starting to take on water and is damaging the damages some of the stuff. And I think the little poor Denden Mushi actually dies. So yeah, we switch here. The whole thing is flooded. Her little Bluetooth mushi is done. So her and Zoro start getting into an argument, and she thought maybe he did something with his sword, and he just chastises her for not finding a better boat. And meanwhile, Zoro's still like, "What about my Jolly Roger?" But he quickly starts like and intervenes. Luckily, in this version, like so, this is one of the things this show does a great job, and I think I mentioned it in past videos, in making characters like Luffy more fleshed out and realistic. And likewise, I think Usopp and Nami are done really well here that way as well. And I'll get further into Usopp in a little bit. So Luffy here quickly intervenes in this little squabble and like, hey, crew meeting, let's go find a new ship then. Let's not fight about this. It's not getting anywhere. They both go here. No, we're not a crew. So then we switch here to back to Garp, and he's taking out the. Also, sometimes with some of these shots do look pretty good with the ship, and then sometimes I think there's one at the end of the fourth episode when they're firing the cannons that doesn't look as good. But he is taking this new group of cadets, and that has Helmeppo and Kobe on it, out there to pursue Luffy. And at this point here, we also get to see a lot more of Bogard, which I'm really happy for. Also, by the way, I think Bogard's age is technically younger than he would look based on what we just saw in chapter 1096. We saw him with Garp 38 years ago when they came to God Valley to try to catch Roger. But in here, he looks more like he's only 45 or so. So he would only been like 7 at that time. So his age is not exactly the same, but it doesn't really matter. Garp doesn't look exactly the same either. He's supposed to be about 80 in the anime manga, and in here he's more like 65 or so. I would guess. And yeah, Bogart here is doing a good job as being like the first mate type of responsibilities and making sure that people are tying the riggings and those other ship like stuff that I don't know anything about, but he is making sure. I like this. I've seen this in some other ship movies as a kid, where it's the captain doesn't always have to be the one enforcing the law or the basic activities. They kind of they're there often on the deck watching, but it's often like the duties of something like a first mate or maybe a second mate to be out there and on the front lines almost, as it were, to be making sure things are getting done. And I appreciate them showing that here. It reminds me a bit when I used to work at some places like a Panera Bread. I liked that. I liked how the place I worked at was also a tightly run ship, metaphorically. And I always had these different assistant managers who were out there making sure that things were being done right. So I can appreciate what's going on here. Then we got Garp there too, looking around, and he gives us a few words too, though, saying that like we're gonna go out there and catch those new pirates. And so then we switch here to Hamepo and Kobe, and we see that Hamepo knows jack shit about about catching tying a tying off this rope for whatever it's for, and someday I'd like to learn what it is. Well, meanwhile, Kobe, being part of Alvida's crew, they he was like pressed into the crew. They forced him to learn this stuff, and he'll explain that more to Garp later too. Uh, and so Hamepo here in this early episodes, Hamepo still acts like quite the jerk. So he's over here. He tied off that rope badly, walks away, and he's shoving aside someone else. And Kobe, being the good boy he is, comes over and fixes the what Hamepo did not do correctly. But this also gets him and Hamepo pissed off at him and tries to bully him for trying to make him look bad, essentially. Also, what? Also, I can't tell. Hamepo with Kobe's glasses, does he actually have to have? Does he actually have lenses in them, or did they actually just put those on where they can have them empty so he doesn't have? Because maybe the kid doesn't, the young man wearing them doesn't really need them. I can't tell. 1 second. Not recording. Okay. So Garb comes down here and at this point, and he looks at the ropes, and he is impressed by Kobe's uh, 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 rope skills, as it were, and then he berates. When he starts here, Hamepo, being the idiot he is at this point, expects Garp to might chastise him or give him a good tongue lashing, I guess. But he is Garp is impressed by Kobe's um, skills, and Hamepo Hamepo ends up being the one who gets. Oh yeah, he's the one who. Oh, I didn't take a screenshot. He's the one who ends up getting chastised here, and this is where Garp begins to take an interest in Kobe, and he takes him to his quarters, his office, to speak with Kobe more privately. And I'll get to that momentarily. And there was a shot here that I unfortunately must not have screenshotted, where Bogart takes a big rope bundle and throws it at Hamepo to continue to practice and get as good as what Kobe is as. Oh, where was it? So now we switch back to the Straw Hats, and they're at Syrup Village, and oops. I like too how they got these other signs here, the all the other stuff going on. And we get Buggy's thing. We get the point here where uh Zoro's surprised that Buggy had a decent bounty, or a really good bounty, I guess. And is that the spot? Did I show that? 1 second. There's something else. No, they don't show it. If you look closely here, though, I want to go back and show. Actually, two things. One, I was just thinking because they can't buy a ship here. Oh, someone's here. Hold on a second. Oh, great, she's here. Stupid thing. Oh, sorry about that. All right, let's get this recording going again. So I think I wanted to draw attention to here. One thing when I was blah 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 blah. Buggy's Pony. I was wondering, like, I wonder if they had captured Buggy here because Zoro says I should have taken this guy and stuffed his head and brought him with us. And Luffy's like, well, who would give you the bounty now? Because you're considered a criminal because you're with me, and we caused trouble in Shell's Town. But if they had been able to get that bounty, I was just wondering now, not now, but when I rewatched this, what they end up getting to Going Merry, obviously, in this arc. But how much is the Going Merry worth? And Zoro asks that later, like, and Nami's answer is, "Oh, if you have to ask, you can't afford it." So, but how many? With a bounty of like Buggies or Arlongs, or what Luffy's becomes, how many of those? What bounty would be enough to buy something like the Going Merry? I'm thinking 50 million. My guess is probably that Buggies wouldn't be quite enough. Like maybe it could be a good down payment. That ship looks like quite well done. Maybe 15 could be. My first thought was 15 would be not quite enough, but like 50 million almost seems too high because the Going Merry is somewhat small. But it is like a well-built ship, and Usopp claims it's like a top of the line of whatever class it is called. And it's like probably the fastest ship in the East Blue. Probably like a sailing ship though. But also, one other thing I wanted to draw attention to here, I noticed if you look closely in this shot I put up on the screen, you can see Don Krieg's wanted poster right next to Alvida's there. Actually, I can zoom in on it. Right there. Mr. Don Krieg himself. What we'll see 2 episodes later is right there next to Alvida and above Crocodile. Nice little Easter egg. I love it. So there's that. So these two are waiting here. These two are waiting here for Nami, who's doing a little scouting to try and find them a ship. And she comes up in a moment and find out that they don't. This isn't something. I think this is certainly something added to this version of the story. And what Nami finds out that this Syrup Village has a big shipyard here, and so they can find a ship there to take to get. And actually, there's a point. Oh, I didn't get that screenshot either. There's a point right here where Luffy actually starts walking the other way. It's funny because they focus a lot on showing in here too that Zoro has a terrible sense of direction, but they also have Luffy sometimes messing up like that too, and he actually starts walking. She just came. The shot I put up here, she just came from those doors, and he starts heading the other way. That's why she's got this look on her face, like, wait, Luffy, I came from this way. Let's go this way. He just crushes up Buggy's poster because he's like, So now we switch. This is now we get some edit scenes here with Buggy, which are great. And we start here with him trying to recover his parts that were thrown into the other containers in order to defeat him by Nami, Luffy, and Zoro. And I'm almost surprised the other townspeople aren't like keeping an eye on him there because he's right nearby their town, and maybe they're actually gonna go somewhere else now since he destroyed it such. But what happens here is the what's his name? Oh, I forget his name now. It's one of Arlong's crew members, the one that Sanji fights, shows up here to get to talk to our Buggy because Arlong has found out that Buggy is pirating here, and basically Arlong in this version is acting like a what would you call it? Kind of like a not mobster, something like that. Cause and they'll elaborate later, but he's upset that Buggy is you know doing stuff here pirating when Arlong sees himself as like you can't do that when I'm in charge of the East Blue. So he shows up here and Buggy doesn't even realize who it is at first, and he this is the first time I see a fishman in this arc too. And I must say this one is not. A lot of people were a little like thinking that Arlong's wasn't that great, but I think Arlong's is a lot better compared to this guy. The way he's got those things on his head. I should actually look up who which his name is. Mm-hmm. Karubi. Okay. Okay. So this gentleman's name is Karubi. Yes. So he shows up acting as the muscle to Arlong going out ahead. Oh, so that's what he's got in his head. Okay, that looks weird. I'm looking at the picture of him from the anime, and he has his hair just tied in two little bundles on top. But the way they have it look in this picture I have on the screen, I always keep thinking of them as some kind of antenna. And so when he tells when he tells Karubi tells Buggy what he's there for, Buggy tries to play it off, and he gets a little wise with him, like, oh, I don't do requests and stuff like that, and he knows he's in trouble though. So in this version, Buggy is clearly trying to pirate in the East Blue while avoiding Arlong, and he up to this point must not have been doing any big scores or any big pirating, because he's been waiting for what's his name? What was his name again? The other guy that fights Zoro. He was scoping out the Shellstown Navy base, Marine base, so they could get the Grand Line map. But then Luffy them get it, and in the meantime they ransack Orange. Is it Orangetown? And but that caught the attention of Arlong, and so Karubi's here, and with the picture right here, Buggy's like, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble," and he attempts to take out Karubi with a throwing knife, but he is just no match for Karubi, who somehow uses, I guess, like his fishman karate, which this is interesting to take out Buggy, to knock him out. So this is something too I want to bring up, because I was rewatching part of Impel Down as well recently, and when they first demonstrate that Jinbei uses this kind of fighting style similar. This is this fighting style. Some of this, in some respects, a little bit like Haki, because he here, Karubi too, even in this version, knocks out Buggy without with ease. Now, so understand. Obviously, Buggy's physical prowess is null. He's like a normal person. He just has the chop chop fruit. So, but when Luffy punched him, Luffy's very strong as Karubi or stronger. He just knocks Buggy's head off, and Zoro obviously is trying to slice him, which is the ultimate nope, he's not going to work without Haki. But Karubi here does it no problem, using some kind of palm attack, I believe. Yep, right there. And so I was just curious, like how that Fishman karate operates, seemingly similar to armament Haki. I need to drink water. 1 second. I'll do this. So now we switch back to our Straw Hat heroes, and they're at the shipyard, and this is where Luffy has a very in mind a perfect ship he wants, And but him and Nami are talking together, and Nami has to point out to him, Luffy, we have no money. You came here looking for a ship, but you got the right. How are we gonna get to point B and get the ship the way you want? It's not gonna work. So they're not butt head, but yeah, they're going back and forth here because she knows they'll have to steal something, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to just steal some other ship. He wants to do it the right way. He wants to take something and have it not be like have that bad mojo, I guess you could call, of taking something that doesn't belong to him. He wants to do it the right way. And Zoro's over here not stepping in, but he clearly is siding with Nami. And after they looks actually, yeah, she even looking at Zoro when as because Luffy is explaining, hey, a ship is also like a crew member, and Zoro, he keeps a straight face, but you know he's like, they're both like, guys, we can't. This is not how it's gonna work. But and Zoro too, after Luffy walks away from that conversation, it's like, yeah, well, Nami, what are we actually gonna do? And she has a plan set up where they'll try to find a ship that they can hopefully whisk away without too much trouble. So at this point, Luffy has walks around and finds the Going Merry, which hasn't been given that name yet. I don't recall. In this version, he's going to Christian it, that name, but I don't think it has that name. I wonder, I wonder if, what's her name? What's her name? Kaya. Kaya gives it to it. So he goes up to her here, and we get this very good emotional moment where he's like, oh, this is the ship I want. I can tell this is it. And this is where he meets Usopp this way, where this is a change a bit that I like this version, I guess. The other in the original, he's the kids, the three kids that are technically part of his crew. Their names are what are their names? Here we go. Let's find their names. Oh yeah, pepper, carrot, and onion, named after foods. They in the this story, the original, they see the Straw Hats pull up on the shore and then warn Usopp because they think they're like dangerous pirates. Doesn't happen here. The kids are not even shown in this version. Like we had the cameo of the cute dog show up in Orangetown along with the mayor, but we don't get much of that kind of stuff here. We uh, especially the kids, they're not part of the stories. But so, but instead we see that Usopp works for this the shipyard, which is owned by Kaya in this version. I don't think they explained how Kaya's rich in the original, but in this version, her parents founded this shipyard and owned and operated it. They're not alive anymore still, just like the original. And Usopp's been working here, and his job though is just to do like cleanup duties. He's kind of like a janitor, and but he starts talking to Luffy about the ship and explains what kind of ship it is and what it can do. And Luffy, because of how well Usopp recited the type of stuff about the ship, accidentally thinks that Usopp is like a salesman. But Usopp is like, nope, that's not what I am. But I do happen to know Kaya, who owns the shipyard. Excuse me. So maybe we can go and you guys can talk to her, and we can you guys can try to strike a deal with her. Since but this part's a little interesting too because it's this is probably the best scenario to happen for the Straw Hats since they are deemed pirates now after wrecking Shellstown. So this is the first thing I'll say is I'm surprised there's not a well, there probably still is. Like I'm thinking about because we find out that Mary's running this place. I'm wondering if there's like another like kind of a manager who would be like the sales manager that would be there that should be where they Luffy would want to go to that person and say, hey, I'm interested in that ship, what's the price, etc. Maybe Mary would be that. But given so I'm wondering like if Luffy had come to this place before going to Shellstown and saw Going Merry, is that what he would probably do? Is like maybe he came with Kobe or Zoro, and they're like, hey, let's go find out who um, runs a place and talk to him. So he might have gone to Mary, I'm assuming, and say, hey, we want to buy it. Excuse me. So, but given the scenario, the predicament they're in is labeled as pirates. They end up having a fortunate to find Usopp in either version of this and be able to meet Kaya because she has sole ownership of this. Well, in this version, she technically doesn't yet. That's where we'll get into that. That's where Kuro's plan is in this version. So now we're back to Kobe and Garp. And Garp here, he wants to get a test of Kobe's skills with like strategy and like assertiveness and such. So he pulled out this game, and unfortunately, I forgot to look it up. I know it's some kind of, I think it's a game popular perhaps in Japan, I'm assuming. And they go through this game here, playing this to get an idea of Kobe's abilities. So this is obviously where Kobe is in this version, Garp is seeing Kobe as a possible protege at this point. In the original, I think it's they have after they've arrested Morgans. There's a cover story, and I know Morgans captures, is it his own son or Kobe, and then they intervene. They're able to stop Morgans from escaping, and I think Kobe just showed in that version good character, good courage under in the dire situation of sorts, and Garp and recognized him as a someone to take under his wing. And in this version, he's like takes him in here after seeing he's like ahead of the other rough cadets as a good at working on the ship, but so wants to go jump to like testing his character, etc. Oh. Okay. So now we switch to the Straw Hats, and we got that weird transition I'm showing on the screen. I don't like this one. I thought that was a little weird. Oh, heck, it's the same shape. Okay. Why? Oh, well. So we go to Kaya's house. Usopp's sneaking him around the back because at this point he's already like come in and snuck around too much, and Kuro and the others are like just sick of him coming around. Well, the others, I gotta clarify. In the original, it is only Kuro that is in the staff that is the pirate. This story follows that along, but adds two of the other members from his crew. But anyways, they're trying to keep Usopp from coming in and seeing Kaya. They're keeping her sheltered, and the plan is still a little similar, where Kuro wants to inherit her money and such. So, but first, they keep an eye on this well. This well is important to the story and how they incorporate into the story. There's quite a bit of change in this story that is works well for me. I like it, and the well's part of it. And so this is also where Luffy's first introduced to seeing a big mansion, and he's very surprised by it. And we get some interesting exchange here. This brings up some more characterization, this arc in Nami, in a way that I wasn't expecting. And in this part here, she talks about how money and stuff like this shows that having like these tangible things shows people who they are. And Zoro makes a little remark here about like, yeah, it sounds like someone I know, showing that he still doesn't trust her. He sees her just as solely as a thief looking out for herself. And yeah, Zoro here, well, he's not perceptive throughout this arc of her of Nami being why would you say that? Being having a positive goal at the end of what she's doing. He is perceptive of her as a thief And as he remarks here, like she remarks, oh, there's very little security, and he catches on, oh, so you're gonna try and rob the place. So we introduced here, these are this is Bucci and Sham, who were two subordinates under Captain Kuro. The main difference here is Sham now has been is a woman in this one. Instead, they were and then originally they were also Sham and the other one is Bucci. They were brothers, and I don't think they have any relationship in that regard here. They're just merely two formidable members of Kuro crew that are also with him in this plan. They are part of the plan originally. They just them and Django, the first mate Django, he also, along with the three children, are not part of this story. Although he had a wanted poster back at Shellstown, so maybe they'll introduce him later. They do this late also with like Hachi later. He's not in the Arlong Park arc, but his character is very important later. And Django, I think, joins the Marines later, much like Hamepo, a character you wouldn't expect basically. But Django's not here, and in the original, Django was still at sea, ruling running the crew, and with these two along with them, while Kuro's here was here, uh, gaining the trust of Kaya to be able to inherit her stuff. But they do it different here, so but it works. It's really good again. Uh, so you see here, there obviously there's so what's going on here now is Sham is the acting as the maid of the house, and Butchie is the cook slash butcher. He's cutting up a pig or such there, and they see Usopp there. Go on, go on, go. Actually, I should get a drink of water. Just a moment. Okay. So this is where we're introduced to introduced. We get find out where Usopp is not wanted anymore. Bucci here has seen that Usopp's coming. And he throws a knife there. Quite a bit of skill actually at Usopp. And I like how they have his hair. They have both his hair up already like a cat look, and the Sham doesn't yet, but um and her hair is similar. I think Sham's hair was supposed to be more blue. I mean green in the other in the anime, but they have it as a blue instead here. Not quite sure, but maybe because they didn't want to have another green haired character when they have already had Zoro, right? Uh, yeah, he has green hair there. Bucci, yeah. So, Sham and Bucci there, they're ready to kick Usopp and the others out when Kuro comes out with Kuro, and his name is Claudor. Other than his alias is Claudor. He's walking around with Kaya, taking care. I'm gonna keep calling him Kuro though. He's out walking around with Kaya, and this saves the day from the Usopp and the others getting kicked out. And of course, Kuro played here by this gentleman, and I don't have his name here, but he does an excellent job in this um, as Kuro. He's definitely one of the highlights. Later on, he's unfortunately overshadowed quite a bit by later on by Mihawk, but where is that? He definitely is my standout in this version. Where is he? Huh. Of course, I don't have it right here. Why don't they just have them all right there? And they got the names all over the place. Where is his name? Well, freaking frig. So, anyways, this gentleman, he looks quite a bit different too, and like almost older to me. In the when he's not wearing the makeup here, uh, he nails the look. They got the costume right, and he does the thing with his glasses because he's used to wearing his claw, having his when he was pirating, having his blades to take out his foes. Where is? Wait a minute. Come on, I want to have it up there. Why don't they have these in a particular order? No, forget. He does a great job though. Oh wait, you know what I gotta just do, dumbass? I just have to type in their names. They will give them to me that way. Cause it's not gonna show up the right way. There we go. Alexander Matias. Thank you. Why was that so hard to find? Someone should, you guys at IMDb, sorry, you should probably fire whoever's lining up the cast that way. You should have it in a better order. Like put the villains together. Yeah, he looks quite a bit different without his the makeup. His hair too is it's not dark. Maybe he's blonde and they bleached it. But nails this look here. He's telling Usopp like you shouldn't come in uninvited. He's acting very formal and whatnot. And I'm a little confused in why they don't like Usopp other than the fact that he seems like riffraff. Yeah, that's probably it. They're probably just trying to act like Usopp, you're not good enough for her, that kind of stuff. You shouldn't come here. So Kaya, of course, she's doing she she is somewhat assertive here though, and like saying no corridor, it's okay. And there are points here where you see that Kiro is trying to what do you call it? Take control her life completely, and it's obvious where the plan's going. But she does well at some points here, saying, "Hey, please, it's okay." So Usopp here goes into this point where he's like, "Hey, how's it?" Kaya's like, "This is you have you come here to tell me another story?" And he's like, "Oh, I got one better. Here are my crew members." So they changed it up, and the originally, I think Kaya knew already like those children were his considered his crew members. I think is that how that goes? I'm not even sure here. Um, how would they show it? Maybe not. Hmm. Oh yeah, in the original here, he Kiro is even saying it's not proper for a lady to associate with the biggest liar in the village. He's a bad influence. So they're worried about that as a bad influence. But I'm not sure if she thought of knew of him as his Captain Usopp persona was fake in this, um, in the original. I know she does here. She likes his stories here. She does see him. She sees through what he's doing. So she's very sick at this point, and she is uh doesn't have any friends, and Kuro is closely protecting her under this facade of like, you're a lady and I have to take care of you because your parents left me in charge. They're gone now, and we have to you have to remain a proper lady. Uh, but she likes Usopp come around because he tells such fascinating stories. He's good at creating these stories and talking stuff and entertaining her. And so she knows he's not the captain of any kind of real crew. And so when he says, "This is my crew," what she's saying, thinking is, "Oh, these must be his other friends he's made." Uh, so she says she wants them to stay for dinner because she wants to have some other company. And Kira at first is like, "No, there's not enough. Um, we haven't prepared." And she's like, "Oh, please, it can't be too much trouble." And Kira's like, "Okay, fine. Well, it's not. We'll make do." And it's this face here that Shan makes. The way she rolls her eyes is such a good little touch they add here. And Butch is just like, "Oh, how's this gonna play out?" Hold on, come on. Oh. So and then also obviously is this? I don't think this is in the original. She is very sick here. Yeah, I don't believe her illness is related in there. In this version, her illness is because she's being poisoned by Kiro to end her life. This is very similar, actually. I was watching a film. Now, what was that one called? It was, and it had Tom Hiddleston and some other folks in it, and they was the same thing where the leading lady she was in a relationship with Tom Hiddleston, and him and his sister are trying to poison her so they can and Tom Hiddleston would marry her and inherit her when her because her father was really rich. He would inherit the business and gain money because they were uh they weren't pirates in that one. They were people that had a mansion up in like the in the somewhere in a rural area, but they were like out of money and they were working to so basically do the same thing here. And it's so the same plan is going on here in this version to poison her as that movie. What was that movie called? Wait a sec. Wasn't that I know wasn't that the one that Del Toro made? Hmm. Movies. Oh yes, Crimson Peak. In the movie Crimson Peak, there's a similar ploy where the girl from I think she's from that live action Alice in Wonderland is being poisoned. Uh, was that the one? No, maybe that wasn't her. No, that was her. Mia. Yeah, yeah. Well, she looks different now. Holy shit. She okay? Anyways, yes, that's the same ploy going on here. This also gets Luffy very excited because he's always open for a free meal. So, Kuro, the first thing he does though is make sure you guys gotta go get bathed and cleaned up, do all this proper stuff, which makes Nami quite happy. And you see there, Usopp's like, "Oh, I smell." Dude, you can't tell. I always know when I smell. Like I'm ready to go wash up right away if I don't. Yeah, they're all gonna go get cleaned up, and there's a scene right here where Zoro is has recognized Captain Kuro for who he really is, but he hasn't quite pieced it together yet. It takes him a while to think about it, but he like looks at him there, and it's funny because we just saw his poster in the last episode stuck in Morgan as a memento in Captain Morgan's safe, but we didn't get to look at it. We'll get it later here, but he's already suspicious that something else is going on here. And I watched some other reactions, and a lot of people automatically recognize that Clawdor, as he is here, is something up with him. And they don't keep the pretense on very long in this version as any more than I think they did originally to that end. Now we get a nice scene here that does a few things. This is where we get some characterization with Usopp and Kaya. We also see, as we can see here, a plot device, as it were, in here is that this, as being a big mansion with this old-fashioned style that has all these servant quarters, and this is how Usopp, in this manner, sneaks in. Whereas in the originally, he like climbs up, jumps over the fences, and climbs like trees and stuff. He uses these servant quarters, which come into play later. And he comes in there and he starts telling her a new story, which and also he has like a gift for her. I think it's supposed to be a fancy egg or something. But he starts going on with his neat stories, and we get to see how he uh, entertains her and how their friendship is very wholesome. But now he's jumped here to, but then it switches over to seeing how Kaya is just coughing, and he gets out this drink for her, which actually is something that's keeping her sick. I'm very surprised. I don't get how something like that. I'm no expert in chemistry and whatnot or stuff like that with poisons, but she's been drinking this when she starts having these fits, and it's supposed to help her, but it's apparently exactly what is making her sick. And Usopp has some guilt about that later, like, oh shit, I've been feeding her this stuff. And then there's this part here too where like Usopp's like, oh, I wish I could do more to help her, but she like says, well, you come here and entertain me, like we're good friends. You do make me feel better. So now we switch over to the Straw Hats again, and this is a interesting point for back to Nami's characterization, where Luffy here has never been into a place like this before, and this is a big changing room, a wardrobe area, and Luffy's going on about like, wow, how can people have all this stuff, and why would they need it? And Nami explains, well, people like this don't need it. It's just what they're rich, and it's just what they want. So like, Nami is what we'll find here. She's like associates all rich people as being shallow, and they take what they want. And this is a nice build up to how we see that the Celestial Dragons later on are exactly like that and much worse. I'm sure Nami understands kind of lump some of that kind of stuff we learned about those Celestial Dragons. She might think of people, other rich people being like that, and we know that some others are like that. And but we see how she has, being someone who grew up very poor, she thinks all the anyone who's in this Kaya's position of wealth is very shallow, and her and Kaya have a great get together about that later. And now she shows off some of her. She's trying out some of these outfits, And then we get a funny moment here where like Luffy's just like, oh, well, it's still you. Luffy's never really had to go to any kind of dinner party or anything before, so he's just got everything wrong here, and he'll do more later. But he just like doesn't know how to say, oh yeah, that really goes with your hair, or matches your eyes, or stuff like that. He just keeps going like this. He's like blank look. Oh, you're Nami, and he tries a few nice things. I like, and personally, I think this one here, yeah, that she's wearing was the best. I forget which one no, I know she ends up wearing something red later that looks very nice too. But I thought this one looked the best on her. And Zoro comes in, and he's looking for something black. Nami was wearing this, and then he says, "No, I'm wearing black." And I thought, why can't you both wear black? I think only Luffy ends up wearing something black. He wears like just a black vest. He doesn't wear anything fancy, and and Zoro would just be again like, oh, I mean, Luffy's like, oh, you're still just Nami. And Luffy just sits here. One last thing is like, oh, well, Kaya seems like a nice person to me. She's invited us to dinner. She's friends with Usopp, and I like Usopp's. So he's like, we get more here. We get to again that. As I just said, Nami sees him as all these people as very shallow, but Luffy is on the nose as regard with Usopp and Kaya, and seeing how they are good people. I didn't get the last shot here, but she gives the an outfit out, throws out an outfit that Zoro ends up wearing, which is like I think it's a suit of sorts, but it's kind of a gold beige color. And now we get a little scene here with Kaya and Claudor, and we see how he's as for viewers like myself who know the story, how he's manipulated her. We get how she really trusts him and stuff, and he brings up how her parents took him in, and he had nothing, and now he's just trying to do his best to take care of her. And he's giving her the tea again, and yeah, she gives him a hug, and it's like, oh, I love what you're doing, but please just try not to be so uptight. And he does a good job here of trying to act all wholesome, because later on he really reveals how, especially early on when he was taking care of her, he just wanted to rip her throat out, because she was just still so needy when she was younger. But yeah, he's really got her wrapped around his finger, so to speak, as being her someone she trusts almost too much comparatively to when we meet Mary later. So now we switch to Butchie and Sham, when Kuro come in here, this is where we will learn about their plan. They have he's making that soup, and this is something that's similar with the tea that he's always feeding to her. So he almost eats it there, and then Sham has to save him from his own almost stupidity. So they have a little dynamic going on with these two in this version, where she's the smart one, he's kind of the big burly dumb one, and Kuro comes in here, and he is making sure everything's ready for the evening, and Sham's like, yeah, sure, and this is where we get how intense he is, and he even scares these two in this version, because there's something mixed, probably poison or something in there, in that just one glassware here, and he not yells, but he scares Sham on it by saying, what is this? And then he drops the glass, and just frightens her, and it's going we have to have it perfect, especially now. So this is where the plan is the plan is shown. We're seeing here that this day is the most important one that they have set up for this plan to take out Kaya. And you can see as he leaves too, she is extremely afraid there and stuff. And Butch over there is like, whew, that was oh shit, that was something. So that he clearly has demonstrated to them when they were on the crew how they are. He is not something to not mess around with. Kind of reminds me too later of I feel like Doflamingo is the closest thing we've seen to that, where the crew members, I know some of his top officers, they're all a family member, but I'm sure some of the other people like that would not want to be around Doflamingo. But that's funny too, because the thing is, these two are some of his top officers, but he does not. Yeah, So we switch back to again our friend Kobe, and we see him playing that game. And then what's happened here is he's overthinking things at this point, and he's got Garp over there saying, "Well, come on, make a move." And Kobe is he's educating, not tutoring Kobe. Kobe, like, you play well, but don't overthink things. Don't play so defensively, and especially in a game like this. And he's trying to relate this to real life. Like, our offense is the best defense um, in the pirating world. So he beats Kobe in that first game we see on the board, but then he brings out an hourglass, starts the game over, and has Kobe like say, "This is we're gonna play with it under 2 minutes, and show me what you got." And so Kobe changes up his uh, uses that pressure in a way that Garp hopes to, and beats Garp that way. And they didn't continue the game on in this episode. They continue doing other games. So Garp is seeing Kobe's potential. So next is get to the dinner party, and uh, uh, Luffy and Usopp are clearly getting along very well here, and you can see that Sham is just disgusted being around them. Like, she for her all her like her and Kuro too. They, for all their like bloodlust and their being a pirate, they clearly have like want to be like a clean mannered, well mannered type of people compared to being around someone like Luffy or Usopp. Like Luffy, especially, you'll see him eating here, and he's making a mess of himself. Look at her look there. Just look at that. She's doing so well, saying, "I'm sick of being here." So we get introduced to Mary here, and Nami's talking to him, learning that he runs the business. And wait, let's see. And yeah, she's talking to him about the business, and she's actually trying to like see, almost like seduce him to see, like, learn more about the money, to get close to him, so she can like rob him blind too, or probably find I don't know, get access to it. But I don't know if she's planning on robbing him. He probably doesn't have a lot of personal finances sitting around his house, but she's gonna try and work him up. But now we switch here to Zoro, and this is where Zoro confronts Kuro. Oh wait, where did they show that? Maybe not yet. There's the part there. Okay, that's the part. Now I'm jumping ahead, ahead of the pictures. That's right. No, Kuro hasn't come down yet. So Kuro comes down with Kaya, uh, brings her down, doing the like, formal thing. You can see Usopp's, of course, enamored. And here's where Luffy's making a mess of himself. And Zoro, Zoro just does his Zoro thing. He just sits there. Not much impresses Zoro here, does it? So we see where Mary and Kaya are, quite close. This is a nice moment too, because Kaya likes the dress on Nami, but brings up, "Oh, it's my mother's, but it suits you well. I think she'd like it if you have it, that you're wearing it." Nami's like, "Oh, what do I do?" Nami here is like taken aback. She isn't expecting to be Kaya to be so nice. It's such a good moment. She's like, "Oh, well, she's too nice. What do I do? I thought she'd be a bitch." Right there, it's like, "Yes, oh, I didn't mean anything bad. You don't." It's such a cute moment. So now here's where it was. I jumped ahead. Kuro's standing around here. Zoro goes to get another drink, and he brings up to Kuro, like, "Have I seen you before?" He brings up some locations. No, did I jump ahead? Yeah, I only got that one. She brings up a few locations, and Kuro just dismisses it, like, "Nah, I've never would never visit, go into any of those kind of establishments you're bringing up." So now we get to where we're figuring out. This is where it starts piecing together what's going on Kuro's plan. As Mary says to Kaya, like, we have to talk about what's going on, a transition of ownership. So Kaya here is still not a legal adult. So her parents have passed on who owned the shipyard, and he has been acting as the steward of the business, keeping it running. I think it's been 3 years now, and she'll be turning 18 the next day. And so he wants to get her to come in and like have a meeting, or he'll come to her with like the paperwork and stuff, and they do the formal legal stuff. And this is where Kiro is stepping in, and he's trying to prevent this from happening in that way, because he's got the plan to like have her where he will gain ownership somehow. Like it's funny how this plan is, because this plan seems a little weak in this way, because originally he had Django. He was gonna have Django, who's a hypnotist, to make it so that she like puts him in her will or something like that, because she's. I don't think the business is. Yeah, doesn't. It's not in the original, and he she's. I don't know. Is she already adult? I think she was older in the other one. And so she already owns the house and everything, but he was gonna have it look like an accident that she would make her take her life, and have it so he inherits the her assets and property. And so he's trying to keep, in this version, he's trying to keep Mary at bay until the next day, because his plan somehow involves getting rid of her, killing her, and making it look like an accident again. And he's same thing, inherits the assets, and in this case, the shipyard especially. Also, I'd like to note there are all these little penguin things around. There's this one here. There's another one behind where Mary and Kaya were. They're neat, and I'm not sure if they were referencing anything else, but they're there. And now we get to the part where the dinner's gonna start, and we do a neat shot here too where it switches over. We got this set's in here that really good too. You got this one with all the plates or something, and there's a scene here too. Look at Zoro's already gone ahead and drinking too much, and he hands a bottle to Sham there, and he's like, "Hey, give me more." So the a couple of things are interesting here. We see Luffy. Obviously, he's not uh, doing the right manners. He's doing his stuff, and I'm surprised he. I think the Sham and the others are more about worried about him, how he's being such an oaf than anyone else. Where is that scene here? Oh, there's this good scene here too now where Kaya wants to she wants to have some fish for dinner, and Claudor. This is where we see Nami's gonna start piecing together something's going on here a little bit. Kaya wants to have some fish. Kyoro's like, no, you can't. We got a weak constitution or something, so I can't eat it. I got Butchie made you soup that you can eat. And Nami's like stepping in and says like, Kaya, it's your birthday. You're sure to eat what you want. And Kiro tries to smack that down by saying, hey, I take care of her nutritional needs. But like Nami's like, well, do you speak for her too? She can tell me that. Boy, and Kiro does not like that. Right here, I think I got it. He's like, oh, it's like, I'm gonna kill you later, bitch. He is just not. So now we switch over to Usopp tries to defuse the situation by having Luffy, because Luffy came here to buy Mary. Where is that? And so Luffy though brings up, no, this is where things go south for them. His plan, because he does his own presentation, but this is where Luffy doesn't get his labeling, isn't going to help win him any favors. And we've seen it plenty of times in the originals. He says, I'm a pirate, and I'm interested in one of your ships. And Kaya just thinks, oh, he's just telling wild tales like Usopp does. But then he starts reciting some of the stuff they did, like fighting an evil clown, beating a weird man with an axe hand, and destroying a Navy base or ransacking it almost. And Zoro's like, oh, this ought to be good. And Usopp Usopp's like, oh my god, what kind of people did I bring in? And Nami just it's like later is like, oh god, this is not good. And Luffy gets up on the table and continues this tale. And he goes right up to Kaya and it's like, in this ship you have out there, it's an amazing ship. Please, I want it, and we'll take care of it like family. And Claudor the whole time here is like, God damn it, this ridiculous person here. And the situation ends with like it just ends where Claudor Kiro's like, you guys gotta get the hell out of here. But Kaya's like, no, let him stay the night. And then Kiro was like, fine, but they're getting out. It's first thing in the morning. And this is interesting too, because he's like, I know he wants to probably just get rid of them now because he wants no one else in the house. But like, he's probably not afraid of them because they don't, none of them look, except for Zoro, none of them look, intimidating. Excuse me, I gotta go bathroom break. Oh, I'm back. Okay, where was I? Yes. So, we're back to Garp and Kobe. Uh, Kobe, I don't have the screenshot here, but Kobe, Buffos comes in here, and he is, let's say, less than pleased. You can't see whether they say livid. He sees Kobe playing the game here with Garp, and he's like, wait a minute, you're like this little wimp, and you already got this vice admiral playing games with you. I'm the son of Captain Morgan. I should be getting this. The nepotism that Hamapa has still at this point is very uh, apparent, and he doesn't. They don't harp on it too much more throughout the series, but I like that they're doing it enough. He starts warming up to Kobe later, although it feels a little rushed up one kind of toward the end, but it's they had to get that moving along. But and Garb even calls out the nepotism here. Oh yeah, I didn't show it. I didn't have that screenshot, but So this part here is they found the schooner when Luffy and them made this syrup village. Nami had Luffy get rid of the ship, but he forgot to take his Jolly Roger off, and they find it floating around out there, and they figure out where the nearest island is, where Syrup Village is, and so Garth's plan is to give the next test. He starts a second test with Kobe to have him be a little lead a landing party, give him a little leadership among the other cadets. And he actually Hamepo assumed he would take command because he's I guess been positioned. So it must have been like one of the last things that Captain Morgan, his dad, did was make him a senior cadet, giving him a little seniority over the other cadets. But uh, Garp has immediately recognized that the Hamepo is a completely inept at this point as a having that position, and Kobe deserves it more. Now, obviously, Hamepo has proved himself to be a much better character in the manga. He's one of my personal favorite characters now because he's grown up and become like a good kind of he's not like he's kind of like the Zoro to Luffy's to Luffy, but with Kobe, but he acts more like a Usopp. He's not as confident. He don't have that arrogance and demon aura, obviously, of Zoro. But him and Kobe get along really good later, and his character is one of those underdog kind of characters of sorts. And I grew from this kind of character that I really enjoy seeing in any sort of fiction. So now we get to this point where Kuro here confronts Mary in the wine cellar, and he's worried about his plan being foiled. So he first tries to just convince Mary that hey, this is Kaya's wishes are instead to let me stay in charge of the business, even though she's of age. And he's trying to avoid Mary talking to Kaya because I think Kaya is intending to take over. They never really explicitly say that, but as a parent, he's gonna take over, and so actually, the way I'm thinking it is that about the sneeze. I'm thinking what he's trying to do there is Kaya was probably I'm guessing Kaya would have probably just let Mary continue running the business in her stead. Like she would put him officially in charge somehow. And well, obviously Kuro's got a plan here to somehow put himself in charge. So he was gonna kill. Like I said, I was a little confused how the plan would work. He was gonna kill her and have it in his name. Not sure. And in the original, he planned on taking over her stuff, like I mentioned earlier, by having it probably his name on the will, I think. And he was gonna have his have the village ransacked by his pirate crew. So he tried to convince Mary not to that don't worry about it. He tried to just get rid of him tonight. I think he was gonna have her accidentally die and not kill Mary, but things change here. And he shows up here. This is where we start seeing his abilities too. And I really like how his ability just shown off here. And he scares Mary there. By the way, is Mary supposed to be kind of like a minx? I don't think they ever explained that. But he looks like an early hybrid minx. He's trying to convince him, like I just said. I should have shown the pictures. So now Mary here gets like, hey, I don't like what you're stating this without her as her representative. You're just the butler, so it's nice you're taking care of her, not etc. But I should be able to talk to her myself. I'm her official business, not partner. I work on her behalf for her parents' business. This is not appropriate that you speak on her behalf in this capacity, etc. But now he starts keeping. So now Kiro realizes he has to keep keep him keep him from leaving because it's gonna ruin his plan. So he starts toying with him. He's playing like they're doing the cat thing here. He's a cat. His motif is being a cat. He starts toying with Mary like he's a mouse by speeding around the place with this stuff and scaring the hell out of Mary, and finally sneaking up behind him and using his blades to take out Mary. And by the way, Mary actually dies in this one. In the original, he is injured, but he comes back later in the story and is still with Kaya to this day, I believe. But this one, they just outright kill him. Good call, actually, because this is one of the first of many parts where a character was not killed that probably should have in Oda's original work. And I think he realizes it's 25 years later. And it's like, okay, I'll work with the, maybe, I don't know if the writer suggested it to him, the showrunner, but they take out Mary. And then you see him do the glove thing again, too. So now we switch back to Arlong, Buggy, and Arlong's gonna be introduced here. Actually, the only thing with this I didn't like, hit my computer, is they just show Kiro's bounty poster there. I guess I didn't get that in the screenshot, but in the screenshot they immediately show Arlong, and here he is. They immediately show Arlong's poster here, and it's like, oh, they just showed Kiro's, so they clearly show that he's considered more dangerous by the government, and I just felt like that overshadowed Kiro just a little bit, like showing, oh, he's the big bad threat at the end. I just don't like that because as an early part of the story, Kiro to me stood out as probably one of the best threats to Luffy. Like Axe Hand Morgan, they propped him up more, I think, in this version to make him more intimidating, tougher for the Straw Hats, but he wasn't in the story originally. But Kiro is. And unfortunately, in this version, Kiro kind of is. They kind of reverse it. Kiro doesn't come across later on as intimidating as he does in the fight. They kind of like change it up a little bit, and I was a little disappointed by that bit. But especially too when having Arlong's poster show up so shortly after, this kind of like, because a fight between Kiro and Arlong I think would be far more even than using bounties isn't always a good measure. Oda kind of was doing that as a measure early on, and a lot of characters in the story were doing that. It's even like when he fights Crocodile later, he's like one of the chapters is called 80 million versus 30 million, with Luffy's first bounty and what Crocodile's frozen bounty was at the time. So, but anyways, Arlong here, he shows up and he's also they have a great effect here. I didn't get the hero, but with each of these characters, did they do it without Vitas? I know from Buggy on here, they have like a fourth wall kind of thing where each character does something with their own bounty. Buggy grabs his bounty. Arlong, as you just saw, cuts it. Kiro slashes through his, and Don Krieg does something later too. So I like that little effect. So basically here, Buggy knows he's in some shit. But luckily, Buggy does have some good talking skills, and he finds a way to off-put some of this Arlong's rage because Arlong here is not impressed that Buggy's been ransacking and not paying some kind of tribute to him. And he almost bites Buggy's neck off here. Probably would have killed him. Right about there, he's gonna do it. So Buggy gets him to cleverly. He gets to direct this. He directs his Arlong's rage to wanting to look for Luffy, and because he points out that Luffy has a map to the Grand Line, and we don't realize it yet, but he wants maps for because he's working with Nami, and Nami's working under him to get him maps all over the world. But actually, the only thing that got me with this is I thought maybe he was going to bring up Nami. Maybe he does later, but they show maybe off screen. But I thought he was going to. Buggy would bring up that Nami's there too, and that would be what Arlong's doing. Like, hey, wait a minute, you're with this other crew? they don't quite play it off. They kind of do that, but not in a direct way. Instead, it's like, oh, this other kid has a map and he's talking shit about the One Piece, and that like Arlong wants them to remove that as almost like a threat, I guess. So he he's working a deal here with Buggy to essentially find Luffy because Arlong says like, oh, I have eyes and ears everywhere. Uh, so that's the end of that with them for this episode, though. Until, I don't think they show them again until they are uh, later, and not in this story arc, anyways. um, so we switch here to nighttime at the mansion. The Straw Hats are staying overnight at Kaya's behest. We just found out, Mary's dead. Now Luffy and Zoro both are out, and they bump into each other. They had a good little jump scare there. They bump into each other. The camera work with some of this is cool too. But they're both out looking for the stuff they like. Zoro likes to drink, and Luffy likes to eat, and so he's looking for a nice snack. And they're both walking around here, and it's funny here because we play again into Zoro's getting lost, and Luffy actually helps here because he uses his nose to help find their way to the kitchen, and hopefully where there would be booze. It's funny that Luffy, when he sometimes gets lost too, as they did originally in this, but he when there's food involved, he can find his way around. And when they walk away, then we got Nami now, and she's doing her cat burglar stuff. She's got a sack, and she's finding all the little valuables and putting them in her into a bag. But she ends up heading into the wrong room and gets alerts Kaya to what she's doing. And Kaya plays it really cool because like Nami's like, oh, she tries to get out of it. Oh, I'm just lost. Yeah, but you got a bag behind you. You're holding stuff. You're thieving from me, aren't you? And this begins the more characterization for Nami though in this arc where Nami though, yeah, even Nami here feels a little guilty. She's like, so Nami clearly like doesn't mind thieving from people who are very despicable, and she still needs to get money for her village at this point. But and only us who seen that stuff would know that. So we know something's up where she doesn't want to steal from everyone. She's kind of like the Robin Hood. Actually, that's her thing, isn't it? Nami should be thought of in some ways as a Robin Hood character, just a little bit. She steals from the rich, but only like those who, you know, despicable again. But she doing it for a very specific goal in this point, not the overarch. Like Robin Hood just needs to keep his friends and family. I guess you could say he's got a village too. But um, Kaya here, and her end up starting to have like a little conversation about like how do you put that? Like they just start talking about shit. What was it they were talking about? Hold on, I can't remember. I'll keep the volume down. I'll just see what it was they start talking about. I forgot this bit. Oh, that's how it goes. Okay, yeah. So the that's what it was. So oh no. Go back to the yeah, so Kaya here assumes, oh, you really are pirates then, like Luffy stated. So no, Nami's like, no, I don't like pirates, but I am who I am. I'm a thief. But she doesn't really go into a goal. And then but Kaya's like, okay, well, yeah, I don't really like all this stuff anyways. I'd rather just give it away to charity and whatnot. Um but and Nami takes offense to that. She don't want anyone to pity her or give her away to charity like that. But then Kaya's like, oh, I didn't mean that. I just want to get rid of this shit. I don't like all this. This is my parents' house. So she's inherited this stuff. We get to see how Kaya, doesn't. She's like changing too, where she's not going to be this follow her. She's almost like a Batman, where she's Bruce Wayne, where she's got all this stuff and she'll probably hang on to it, but she's not gonna access all. She's gonna do better with the world and stuff, kind of thing. And she has a goal of becoming a doctor, which is a nice way. So when her and Nami here started having a conversation on it changed. It's where we get a little exchange too, where Kaya's like getting really having a fit again, and Nami's like really worried about her. And Kaya's like, I don't want you to pity me. Everyone else around here treats me like I'm a porcelain or glass or whatever. And they start really building up together because they both had that exchange about the pity and stuff. And it's like, that's nice. They're like getting along here. So yeah, right here she starts talking about that. I gotta remember to start moving along with that. Is that the part two? There's a bit here where. Wait a sec again. Hold on. Where is that? No. Get out of here. What? Oh, right here. Oh, okay. That was later. Okay. There's a bit that comes back later with that. Okay. Just give it just a second. Okay. Wait, let's continue this. We're almost done here. Gotta get this done. Okay. So we switched now to where Zoro and no, I don't have this on. Zoro and Zoro and Sanji find the kitchen where Usopp is already there, staying there. So we don't know where Bucci and Sham is right now. They it doesn't. They show up a little bit later, but not here. But so Usopp's hanging out in the kitchen, and we see a little bit of his sharpshooting skills. He's using corn seeds to hit into a pan, which then is falling to a jar, I believe. And Sanji and not Sanji. These Sanji's later. Usopp and I can't know the names mixed up. Luffy and Zoro come in, and they're all like, "Oh, you couldn't sleep." And Usopp's like, "Yeah, you now for that story. Yeah, you guys, are you serious about that too? You're gonna be a king of the pirates, and you're gonna find the One Piece and stuff." And wait, what do they talk here about now? Then they start the conversation here. I think at one point switches over to talking about Kaya. Wait, let me check. I know sometimes I start missing stuff here. Wait, where is? Shoot. So tired of stuff forgetting. I'll pull this over here. Like that. Let's see. Pull that over. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So, wait a minute. Ah, come on. I always forget a little bit of something I want to like add. Yeah, the conversation here starts with like Usopp. So Usopp's like, "Oh, you guys have some amazing stories," and Luffy hasn't realized yet that Usopp is like full of it. He's like, "Oh, they're not as amazing as your stories," and Usopp just says, "Yeah, I wish I could like have adventures like yours, but I got to stay here with Kaya." So now we get a little back and forth here where Kaya and Usopp are talking about each other and how great they are. We get a little background about Usopp that Kaya tells Nami and how when his mother died, his parents helped and gave him a job there. They kind of like took him in almost. I don't know where he's been living, but they helped him out and uh, to give him a job there. And she'd like to talk about his adventures. And we both get a little bit of here where the wait, how's this gonna work? I need to turn this full screen off, I think. There. I gotta turn this off like that. Oh yeah, it's Zoro who actually like calls it out. Zoro, I think Nami does too, like to like, hey, is that your girlfriend? Is that your boyfriend? I forgot about that. That's a great part. Um, and wait, what did I miss here too? And yeah, so then it gets into the parents. She points out like, oh, the parents. Usopp's like, my parents, her parents died, so I want to be there for her. She's got nobody, and he's like, she says the same thing. It's this back and forth of nobody. They have nobody, and then it switches to the parents part, and I love it because this is where Nami, we're getting a little more about Nami because after Kaya here starts explaining about how her parents are gone, and she's still not quite over it, and she can't really like figure out what to do with all this stuff. And Nami, she's showing her emotion like this scene I got here, and she's like thinking, "Shoot, this girl is definitely not what I thought she was." But then when she's confronted with Kaya with like, "Did you lose anyone?" Nami is like still trying to shield her own pain, and she just lies outright and says, "No, I've never lost anyone." And so Kaya's like, "Oh, you." I don't know if Kaya was like saying she's sees through that lie, but she just like, "Oh, I'm jealous that you have never had to deal with that." And then Nami's like, "Oh, so this is the rich girl." And in which case, like Kaya does see like, you don't have any other, you've never had friends really. You're bad at this. And they have this sweet moment where they're laughing. So it's like this little girl moment, I guess you could call it. It's like I really like that, how they're doing it. And so then we get to a point too here where well, I don't have that yet. The next point here too is Usopp's trying to figure out, oh, do you think she likes me? And then Zoro's like, don't ask me. I don't know how to answer that kind of stuff. Um, let me switch this point. This part here. This is a little awkward. I found this moment. I don't know if this was ever done in the manga, but Luffy reveals to Usopp here that he knows Yasopp and he met him years ago, and it's just like awkward. He's like, "Oh, he's a great guy," and Usopp's like, "Oh, you met my dad? That's awkward. He was like a friend to you?" Yeah, this was like just like I didn't get the way the execution was like good, but also like really um it's really awkward. But luckily, it kind of ends with like where Zoro, the whole time this has been happening, he's looking for booze, and there's nothing there. And he's like, if we're gonna keep going deeper into this feeling stuff, I need something now. And that's where Usopp's like, oh, there's that wine cellar. We could go there. And he leads Zoro to it. And Luffy stays behind, and this what happens. This is where the story finds a way. And so this is where a big change is coming, where the main stuff is about to be set up, and what they're gonna do instead now with Luffy is he finds that soup. He finds the soup left over there that Bucci's been making and feeding to uh Kaya, and he eats this soup there, and it's gonna poison him, which is a nice little thing that harken to like later on he'll get poisoned by Magellan, and he always dies when he eats that bad fish and that when Sanji's not there anymore to cook. But he eats that soup, and this is going to be what removes him from the story temporarily when stuff starts escalating here. Uh, Instead of him, because in the original, they find out about the plan. Let's see. First, he overhears the plan that when Django and Kuro, and then they think they kill him, and I think Usopp here is part of the plan too originally. So all four of them plan together with Zoro and Nami to stop this invasion of the pirate. But Zoro ends up getting lost, or Luffy does too. They both end up going the wrong way. Instead of going to this beachhead where the beachfront where they're gonna show up. And so what happens with Zoro here is they make their way down to the wine cellar, and Usopp finds Mary's body there, and Zoro right away does. I like this bit where Zoro's kind of like an investigator, not just a he's a bounty hunter, but he learns how to investigate. And he looks there and sees what had killed Mary. And he's like, oh, I know what this is. It's definitely this guy. And so Kuro comes out from the shadows, and Zoro's like, oh, I know who you are. Oh wait, why does it keep doing that? Come on. Wait a second. Come on. You son of a bitch. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. Hold on. Just wanted to go back. Yeah, so we switch to here, and so Kuro comes out and is like, oh, we still have some rats in the cellar. He's using the little cat thing. And this causes Usopp, to like retreat. But Zoro like stands up and is like confronts him. He's like, oh, I know who you are. I thought I recognized you. And then this is where Bucci and Sham come out. They're there with Kuro. I don't know what they're all like waiting there for. It's kind of like too convenient. They're just waiting there because they're like, are they just waiting for the clock to reach midnight? It appears so. But Zoro confronts him and is like, oh, I thought I recognized you. You're Kuro the Black Cat Pirates. And actually, I did get this wrong. I said the poster was shown earlier, but this is actually where they show it. But still, like when you see that slower than Arlong's, it's like, oh, well, impressive, but like better than Buggy's, but not as good as Arlong's. But and he cuts through it, and then we get the little thing about Axe Hand Morgan a little bit where like he I think they should have done this filled out a little more because I think some people still don't really think about this who I saw watch this. So Kuro's plan, Kuro at this point is thought to be dead, and they don't lay out how he did it fully here, but he does say like, oh, Zoro says like they say Axe Hand Morgan killed you, and he's like, oh, that was the plan, and it fed his ego. But the plan, what happened is he got fed up with being a pirate. He's been captaining as a pirate for years, and he's fed up with being chased. At this 3 years ago, so he has his first mate who's a hypnotist, hypnotized Morgan into thinking he's captured and killed Kuro, and Kuro had someone else on his ship that resembled him enough that it convinced the Marines that yeah, we must have got this guy. So that's the other thing too. The other Marines fall for it. I guess not enough people have seen him alive to realize that the phony they got was not the real thing. Maybe they had Axe Hand mess up the guy's face so they couldn't fully tell, and they're not using like dental records or anything to figure this out. So Zoro and him briefly have a clash here, which I don't think we ever got in a manga, and I wish we would. But Kuro's speed, he starts exhibiting his speed, which is again something I'm not sure how Zoro will do against him, because Zoro sometimes seems like he's very powerful and sturdy, but I don't know if speed has always been his best trait. But what happens is Kuro ends up, he turns around behind him, and Zoro begins to start getting serious, but Sham comes behind and just knocks him out. And they're not going to let him, they're playing dirty tricks as pirates would. And at this point, Usopp's like, oh crap, I'm just going to get out of here, and he just flees. And Sham gets upset by that. She thinks the plan's going to be ruined if he escapes. But where is that scene, right? Yeah, Sham thinks it's ruined. It was a planetary ruin, and we see a little bit more of where her, her and Butch here in this version don't get along. But uh, uh, what do you call it? Um, Kiro is convinced because everyone doesn't believe him. He realizes how Usopp's such a liar and that everyone dislikes him that it won't matter. So he's like, let Usopp get away, but just get rid of Mary and Zoro's body. When those two are fighting, it's so funny. Now where am I? Okay, so yeah, now we switch back to these two, and we see that Kaya and Nami have bonded nicely, and she's like, Kaya's like, oh hey, come join me for breakfast. We'll try and talk about a deal on the Caravel. Okay, that's what it's called. Okay, call it Caravel. I can't think of the name earlier. And Nami gives her some nice advice too at the end, saying, I know it's not my place, but hey, Claudio shouldn't run your life. Like, you know, she stepped up to defend her earlier. So you're very strong. You know, I know you can be a strong person, and so they really had a nice bonding here. And in the next scene, this next spot here, she starts putting the stuff away. She starts getting the guilt there, like, oh, I can't steal from this person. I won't. It won't weigh on my conscience. So I think we're near the end here. So the ending here, we um, we have the Shaman Butchie. They're taking the uh bodies on a cart. Zoro, who's still not obviously dead, he's knocked out. I don't know if they assumed he's dead, but they take him out and they go up to that well that oh yeah, I don't have a shot of the well, but they go up to the well that we saw earlier. What Luffy was at, and they throw the bodies in there. And the only thing that was interesting too is they almost Butchie here wanted to keep Zoro's sword, but Sham's like, no, we have to get rid of all the evidence. If anyone ever finds that, uh, it could lead back to us somehow. So she makes sure they get rid of them, and then they end up leaving together. And you see too here a little bit more where they don't get along because she has him rolling the cart out, and then she has him just like riding her back. So it's like she clearly has the is more the boss in this relationship, but they'll get snippy with each other sometimes. Actually, this is the final scene too. We go back to Usopp trying to again now actually warn about the pirates. The black hat's in her place, but now we confront that guy from the beginning, and he's like, "Dude, I'm not gonna believe you. Get out of here. This is like because now at this point, who it's also like 10, 11 at night or something like that. So like, stop it." And this is where we get a bit of Usopp's flashback and part of why he's been doing this. And it's that when he was little, he was always hoping Yasopp would return because his brother had become sick with some kind of illness, another unknown illness, like they all get, like Whitebeard, Roger, uh, uh, Ginny now. His mother had something too. And this point here, he's been causing trouble, and this is funny too, though. This scene was a little bit dumb. This guy comes in and like, you gotta control your son. You gotta stop him. And and um I was just checking my notes. This scene was just didn't work because this woman's on her deathbed here, and the guy said, "Oh, get him under control." Like, how she's about to die, or like she can't. I just don't see how that was scene worked. It was just one of these few scenes that didn't work for me. And so he's just sitting there and it's like, um, wait a minute, how did it go? The mother here, wait, what was that? Oh yeah. So she's trying to say you can't keep doing that. It's not, can't keep telling people that. And but Usopp here clarifies, no, I'm just doing it because the I'm no mystified about how this is supposed to work. He wants Yasopp to come back, but I don't get why he's going around running at this point, like the way they're doing this is like, when they show him doing it as a adult in the original, he's more like just doing it to mess with the population in his town. And this one is just building up that he's like doing it because he was hoping his father will come back with Shanks' crew. And how do I say this? He's uh uh hoping she'll feel better, obviously. And it and she's like, okay, yes, I understand. I'll feel better. You're right. Wait, how does she say that? Um, wait, shoot, I keep. Uh, oh yeah, she just like, oh, I wonder what she was trying to say there. She's like, oh, even if he doesn't come, I'll be all right. And then she just dies right there. And so this moment here was like actually was quite good for me, and like how the emotion though. It's like he's just been wanting his dad to come back. This is where that scene earlier hit hard, the raw in the way that Luffy didn't understand that. Hello, you met my dad. Like because Luffy talks about such praise for him, and and Usopp, you can clearly see, he's gonna have some beef with his dad because he left, and his mom died, and he wasn't there for that. So but I still a little confused how I was fitting in with him trying to, and as a kid in this version, how they were trying to fit it in with him saying the pirates are coming. Was he just doing it as like a wishful thinking? He thought, oh, maybe if I do that, it'll work. Anyways, he's like, he starts talking aloud here, saying, "Oh, the pirates are coming. Why won't anyone believe me?" Not realizing, hey, um, the uh, I'm actually need help now, basically. And luckily, when he speaks, all of the Kobe and Himepo and the others and some others are with him come, and we end it with we end this scene with uh Kobe coming up to him and saying, "I believe you," because obviously he knows Luffy's probably there. The only thing that makes me bothered by that is I'm wondering, like, is Kobe thinking that Luffy's causing trouble there somehow? Because he knows Luffy wouldn't be like purposely doing that, but he's like, "Oh, I believe you," and he has to try and catch him. Oh, that's right. And then we got Zoro waking up. I forgot about that bit. Hold on again. Shoot, I have to edit a lot of this out. Is that where that ends? Yeah. Wait. Oops. Come on, speed up. Wait a minute. I thought they show. Oh no, that's just the end of it. No, that's the end. Okay, okay. That's the end of this episode. That's where I'm gonna end this. That screenshots are for the next episode, but I've been on here way too long. So that's the other one. Starts with Zoro. So this episode ends. So this is a good build up. I really liked how this all built up. We get Luffy and the others needing a ship. We got Garp working with Kobe. We get Usopp. So much at Usopp. We get to see his characterization and what's happening. And so now we're getting to the we get the build up. Now we get the next one where the plan's going to go forward, and the characters going to have to work together to take on these pirates that have in there. And yeah, it's an all around good. This was like the next episode is where the one is really my favorite one too. It's really awesome to see the stuff that happens, and then we get other backstories. But it's the present stuff especially that I love about this one. The next episode, but we'll get there when we do. So yeah, this my highlights in this of my favorite stuff in this episode was especially with Nami and Kaya. I don't know if they really got to talk in the original, but seeing them in this episode and getting a little more and being able to slowly unravel Nami for viewers like that was awesome. And Claudor Kiro comes out as a really good villain. He's got a nice vibe to him. Usopp Usopp and Kaya's relationship is very wholesome too. And I love seeing that. And I like seeing how Garp fleshing out Garp too is one of the best. Garp and Nami getting them to be fleshed out in this way with is not Garp fleshed out was so good too. We get to see how he's looking for a protege. We can read between the lines. And by the way, I was looking up where he's from. I was like, I thought I recognized him, and he's from the I know him from the movie 300, where he is King Leonidas's right hand man in the army. They call him the captain, I think. He's the one who's there, and he's got that son who unfortunately dies in battle, and he made out like, oh, that's my youngest son, and it's okay if he comes with us. But boy, does Garp actor like lose it when his son, the character, loses it when his son is beheaded in the battle at the Thermopylae. So I was actually thinking about using that as for a meme later. Anyways, yeah, Garp's character, Nami's character, everything in this one is just like a pretty much a perfect episode. It's just like that little backstory at the end. I felt it was a little short for Usopp. Usopp's backstory, I wonder if it was longer. I'm gonna have to reread that. But otherwise, so I have to give this one probably like a 9 out of 10. Anyways, I can't talk anymore. I'm gonna end this here. Thanks for watching.